After my meditation this morning, I began thinking of a folkloric story about our family. It's our family's history. I'm the eldest of 5 children, and my mother is the eldest of 9. Yes, we're Catholic. And I have 37 first cousins, and we've all heard this story our entire lives. And the story of our parents, my grandmother and our parents, being evacuated from New Guinea during the war. Now, my grandparents and my mother and her brothers and sisters grew up in New Guinea. My grandfather had a hotel in New Guinea, and he was quite the entrepreneur and would kind of travel around, whenever there's an opportunity. That's where my grandfather went. And they had this idyllic life in New Guinea. My mother shares stories of, parties and communities. In fact, she didn't wear shoes until she was about 10 because they used to walk to school with no shoes on, and they were accompanied to school by the Fuzzy Wuzzies. And it was just an idyllic childhood until the war came and the Japanese invaded New Guinea. And the story goes that they needed to evacuate urgently. At the time, my grandmother had 7 children under the age of 12. She had 2 sets of twins. She would have been in her late 30s. My grandfather was fighting the war, and they needed to evacuate urgently. My great uncle was a pilot, and he was actually flying them out, so getting all the family on a plane. And they were on one of the last planes out. My grandmother and all her children and her sister-in-laws and a few of the other family members and community members on the plane. And as they were taking off down one end of the runway, the Japanese were advancing down the other. In order for the plane to take off, they had to get rid of all non-essentials. In fact, the story goes, many, many years later, somebody went back to the airstrip and found a silver tray of my grandmother's that she'd thrown out the aircraft as they were taking off. Now, for my mother, who was about 11 at the time, it was quite this adventure story, and they told the story about being on a ship and getting a bottle of Coke and sixpence for Christmas and for sailing to Sydney. But I often think how hard that must have been for my grandmother. 7 small children, didn't know where her husband was, no money, nothing. But you know what got them through all that? Was this incredible sense of community and everybody working together. What we are being asked to do right now is to self-isolate or pull back from large gatherings in order for those people, my parents, who grew up with nothing, who their parents sacrificed everything to make sure we live in a safe country. We're being asked to self-isolate for them. As I saw a great meme on Facebook yesterday was, if our grandparents could give up their homes and their countries and their lives for us, surely we can sit on our couches for 2 weeks to help them get through what they need to get through. And that's why we're doing this, right? That's why we're all pulling back, is to stop the spread of this virus, but in particular for those most vulnerable. But it's really difficult, I know at the moment, to pull out of that fear mentality. And every time you see a headline on the news about something else closing or another ban on gathering or restaurants closing, there's a huge fear. And I know for many of you in this group and many friends of mine, they're looking down the barrel of no income coming in for the next couple of weeks, maybe longer. Can I just say to you, for those people who are in those financial crises right now, pick up the phone and call your bank or your financial institution or the phone company or the electricity company. Call them now. Phone them and tell them what's happening. And when we were through the recession of the 90s, that's what I did. We suddenly had our income turned up overnight, and we were locked into, at that stage, 14% interest rate now in our home and 22% interest rate on some investment properties. And the only way we could get through that was without a lot of stress, having young children at the time, but I phoned all the institutions and made deals with them. And most were fantastic. Most were so good. If you phone and are actually really honest with them, and tell them what you're going through, they will do. I know many organisations across the world are doing it, and I know there will be institutions here in Australia doing it. So get that monkey off your back first. If you're in that financial strain, call the bank or the financial institution or the credit card company or the phone company and do some type of deal. The second thing is now is the time to be working on your inner strength. It's all very well and good to talk about affirmations and positive thinking and EFT and meditation and reading all the personal development books in the good times. That's easy. It's now in the challenging times that it actually is more important. So now is the time to set aside dedicated time each day to be doing something for your inner well-being. Now, over the next week, I'm actually going to be in this group every day. And if you're listening to this on Instagram or on my page, please join the Living Lighter group. It's closed group, so I want people to be able to share openly what's going on for them without sharing it out to the world. So that Living Lighter group, join that. I'm going to be in the group, and I'm going to be doing an EFT session every day or a meditation. And I'm also going to show you an EFT practice that we're now kind of recommending, because we don't want people touching their face, especially children, if they're not washing their hands properly. So I will show you some different points that you can use. So we're going to start that today. I'm going to do one on fear, and every day this week. So if you have something specific that you want to have a tapping thing on, pop, I'm typing here with the hands, pop something in the comments and I'll do something specifically on that. But right now, really important, reduce your fear so you can think clearly, so you can create solutions to whatever the issue was. I did that blog yesterday on we need leaders of calm. If you're calm, if you're focused and you're living in the present, that resonates out to so many people, and you are impacting others just by staying calm and present. And that's what you can do to help right now. If you are really interested in working with me, but you thought, I don't know if I can kind of really afford this right now, please reach out to me. I'm also really open to payment plans. And I have a number of my clients on payment plans. So if that's what you need right now, and you think, for the next 2 weeks, I think I'm going to work on myself, reach out and let's see if I can help you. In the meantime, every day from now on in, I'll be doing an EFT. I'm going to do one in a minute on fear. And let's get through this together. Strong back, soft heart. As Brene Brown says, strong back, soft heart. And we're going to get through this all together. We will get through it. Think of the abundance mentality, staying out of fear, staying calm. Let's do this together.